Letter 16 by Charles Lamb. Dated at End, Dec. 5, 1796. To a young lady going out to India. Hard is the heart that does not melt with ruth when care sits cloudy on the brow of youth, when bitter griefs the female bosom swell and beauty meditates a fond farewell to her loved native land, and early home, in search of peace throw, stranger climbs to Rome. The muse, with glance prophetic, sees her stand, forsaken, silent lady, on the strand of farthest India, sickening at the war of waves slow beating, dull upon the shore stretching, at gloomy intervals, her eye o'er the wide waters vainly to espy the long-expected bark, in which to find some tidings of a world she has left behind. In that sad hour shall start the gushing tear for scenes her childhood loved, now doubly dear. In that sad hour shall frantic memory awake pangs of remorse for slighted England's sake, and for the sake of many a tender tie of love or friendship passed too lightly by. Unwept, unpitied, midst an alien race, and the cold looks of many a stranger face, how will her poor heart bleed, and chide the day that from her country took her far away. Footnote Bowles, The African, line 27. Lamb has struck his pen through the foregoing poem. Coleridge, the above has some few decent lines in it, and in the paucity of my portion of your volume, may as well be inserted. I would also wish to retain the following, if only to perpetuate the memory of so exquisite a pleasure, as I have often received at the performance of the tragedy of Douglas, when Mrs. Siddons has been the Lady Randolph. Both pieces may be inserted between the sonnets and the sketches, in which latter, the last leaf but one of them, I beg you to alter the words pain and want to pain and grief, this last being a more familiar and ear-satisfying combination. Do it, I beg of you. To understand the following, if you are not acquainted with the play, you should know that on the death of Douglas his mother threw herself down a rock, and that at that time Scotland was busy in repelling the Danes. The tomb of Douglas see the tragedy of that name when her son, her Douglas died, to the steep rock's fearful side fast the frantic mother hied. O'er her blooming warrior dead many a tear did Scotland shed, and shrieks of long and loud lament from her Grampian hills she sent. Like one awakening from a trance, she met the shock of Lachlan's lance. Denmark on her rude invader foe returned an hundred-fold the blow, drove the taunting spoiler home. Mournful thence she took her way to do observance at the tomb, where the son of Douglas lay. Round about the tomb did go in solemn state and order slow, silent pace, and black attire, earl, or knight, or good esquire, who ere by deeds of valor done in battle had high honors won, who ere in their pure veins could trace the blood of Douglas' noble race. With them the flower of minstrels came, and to their cunning harps did frame in doleful numbers piercing rhymes, such strains as in the olden times had soothed the spirit of Fingal echoing thro' his father's hall. Scottish maidens drop a tear o'er the beauteous hero's bier. Brave youth and comely, bove compare, all golden shone his burnished hair, valor and smiling courtesy played in the sunbeams of his eye. Closed are those eyes that shone so fair and stained with blood his yellow hair. Scottish maidens drop a tear o'er the beauteous hero's bier. Not a tear, I charge you, shed for the false Glenalvin dead. Unpitied let Glenalvin lie, foul stained to arms and chivalry. Behind his back the traitor came, and Douglas died without his fame. Lamb has struck his pen through the lines, against which I have put an asterisk. Scottish maidens drop a tear o'er the beauteous hero's bier. Bending warrior, o'er thy grave, young light of Scotland early spent, thy country thee shall long lament, Douglas beautiful and brave, and oft to aftertimes shall tell, in hope's sweet prime my hero fell. Lamb has struck his pen through the remainder. Thane or lordling, think no scorn of the poor and lowly born. In brake obscure or lonely dell the simple floret prospers well, the gentler virtues cottage bred, omitted thrive best beneath the humble shed. Low-born hinds, oppressed obscure, ye who patiently endure to bend the knee and bow the head, and thankful eat another's bread, well may ye mourn your best friend dead, till life with grief together end, he would have been the poor man's friend. Bending, warrior, o'er thy grave, young light of Scotland early spent, omitted thy country thee shall long lament, Douglas, beautiful and brave, and oft to aftertimes shall tell, omitted in life's young prime my hero fell. Side note, is morbid wantonness of woe, a good and allowable phrase. At length I have done with verse-making, not that I relish other people's poetry less, theirs comes from 'em without effort, mine is the difficult operation of a brain scanty of ideas, made more difficult by disuse. I have been reading the task with fresh delight. I am glad you love Cowper. I could forgive a man for not enjoying Milton, but I would not call that man my friend, who should be offended with the divine chit-chat of Cowper. Write to me. God love you and yours. The name of the young lady going out to India is not known. The verses were printed in the monthly magazine for March, 1797, but not in Coleridge's poems, 1797. The Tomb of Douglas was included in that volume. The poem in which the alteration, pain, and want was to be made, but was not made, or was made and cancelled later, was Fancy employed on divine subjects. The divine chit-chat of Cowper was Coleridge's own phrase. It is a pretty circumstance that Lamb and Cowper now share, with Keats, a memorial in Edmonton Church.